Hey gang, I'm Drex, and I'm here today with a review of Ignis Pixel Poi, specifically the 80 pixel sets. There's been an influx in the past couple of years of a class of LED Poi that use programmable strips of RGB LEDs to create pictures when the Poi are spun. The same technology is in use for hoops, levy wands, you name it. In theory, you're meant to be able to upload clip art or photographs into the Poi to create custom programs either for fun or to sync up to music for professional purposes. These are the first set of this style of Poi I've gotten to play with extensively. I've used sets briefly at festivals, but these are the first pair I've really gotten time to play with and learn how to program. For the most part, this hasn't been a style of LED Poi that's been really interesting to me because it limits the types of tricks that you can do. You're more or less limited to wall-plane pattern moves, and the weight distribution makes things like stalls and pendulums kind of awkward. Because the tubes that house these LED strips tend to be so long, they also limit your ability to shorten the Poi up in order to play with different dynamic ranges with the prop. That said, they are absolutely beautiful and rapidly becoming an important tool in the professional performer's toolbox. Now, the set that I was sent to review is kind of unique in that it's made in a size that's meant to be a bit of a compromise between two priorities. The first priority is to generate a big enough picture to retain the wow factor for this style of Poi. The second priority is to make them be short enough to be able to be useful for more of a techie style of spinning. Before I go over whether they accomplish this goal, let's talk a little bit about the hardware as well as the software involved in these. They come as a pair and they're housed in a set of extremely durable polycarbonate tubes. One complaint about the earlier generation of LED Poi in this style was that they were quite delicate and easy to break with hard impacts. I'm pleased to report that these don't have that problem. They will make a loud and incredibly unpleasant noise when you hit them, but they will not break. Near the base of these tubes are the controls, 3 buttons that allow you to turn the Poi on and off, select the program you want to run, and set it going. One really cool and useful feature is that there's a way to engage a program that turns off input from the buttons. I've found on a few occasions that performing spiral wraps, I'd accidentally hit the button to switch programs or pause the one that I was on, so being able to engage this lock mode is actually hugely helpful. By default, they come with nylon tethers and double loop handles. I'm overall not a fan of nylon as a tethered material. It tends to be extremely abrasive. When I happen to be holding that tether against the edge of my finger, I tend to find that it strips all the skin on that finger off. I switched out the tethers early on for flow cords, and I'm happy to report that this conversion is really straightforward and easy. You'll need a screwdriver to do it, but it took me all of 5 minutes to accomplish. They both charge and are programmed off of mini USB ports with the battery housed inside the tube assembly. It cannot be changed out. This is both a blessing and a curse because it doesn't require you to bring a separate battery charger to a gig. You can just plug in a USB cable. But at the same time, it means you can't trade out the battery if you run out of juice during a performance. Battery life on these, unfortunately, tends to be quite short from what I've seen. The longest run I've been able to get out of these while spinning continuously was just shy of 2 hours. So, how do they spin? Do they do tech? The short answer is yes, but with a few caveats. Stalls and pendulums are still awkward. That's just a problem built into the weight distribution. But the good news is that they don't appear to be so to the audience. You'll definitely feel a wobble with both of these types of tricks, but they won't look out of the ordinary to your audience. These are also the only set of LED strip Poi I've ever tried with which I can do some of my favorite anti-brids, though tricks like isolations tend to be extremely awkward with them. If you're looking for a way to achieve some techier moves with LED strip Poi, I think these make for a good compromise between being long enough to display a good picture, as well as being short enough to achieve a wider vocabulary of moves. I've used these now in several gigs, and they always get a tremendous response, both from clients as well as from the audience. But what about programming them? This is probably the biggest limitation with these Poi. The software has some major hurdles, and without a doubt was the most difficult aspect I encountered in dealing with them. For starters, the software is only available for PC-compatible computers. I own a Mac. I wound up having to borrow my roommate's laptop in order to try out the software and program my Poi. Once installed, the program to edit settings on the Poi is not terribly intuitive. There's a manual available for the software online, which is really good because without it, I would never have been able to program these Poi. One of the weirder hiccups in it is that by default, the program doesn't connect to the Poi when you plug them in. You have to manually set it to talk to the Poi before it'll upload your programs to them. In order to write a program, you have to import photos or images to permanent slots in the Poi's memory, then assign them to points in a timeline on a different memory slot. You can adjust how many seconds an image displays for, but if you're trying to synchronize a program to a song, this winds up being a really blunt instrument. Plus which, it's really easy to overwrite pre-existing memory slots and not realize you've done it. The software doesn't automatically show you what's already been uploaded to your Poi. So overall, I do like these. They're a great fit for more professional gigs, and the length is a great compromise between a big, beautiful display and still short enough to allow for a diversity of tricks. These take some work to adjust to. If you've trained in contact or even sock poi, the weight distribution is completely different. The biggest handicap on these is the software. It's difficult to use, not very intuitive, and it's way too easy to make a quick mistake that could wipe out your old work. That said, it's also totally possible to use these without even programming them to begin with. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy the flow. Peace. Hey guys, just a quick thank you to all my backers out there on Patreon. Thank you guys for continuing to support me as I have been working on my next series of videos. Everybody loved the Flow Arts 1-on-1 series, and I wanted to follow it up with something that I hoped would be at least as much use. So I've got 3 different series that are in the process of being put together right now and will be out there to the world very, very soon. In the meantime, if you guys found this video inspiring, if you found the information helpful, please visit me at patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up to help support me in creating these videos. And thank you all so much for watching out there.